not be made. Let's talk particularly about the NFL preschool program. I have stood in this room, sat in this room, excuse me, many times listening to you defend that program for two primary reasons. One is it is a channel for children into this school district. Now, just a couple of months ago, this district hired a supervisory level position at over $100,000
Yes.
to help increase ADA. But at the same time, or at least a couple of months later now, a decision is being made that one of the channels that leads students into this district is being damaged and weakened. Then, another reason that I have heard several of the board members sitting up here defend very valiantly against attacks against the NFL program is that it helps prepare the children for higher performance when they reach the K-12 core area of our district. Now, I'm sure we've all heard in the news over the last couple of days that California ranks 41st out of 50 states, not in educational funding, but in quality of education. I commented on that on my Facebook page, and a gentleman who I believe is sitting in this audience commented back and he said, "Yes, Ron, California is in trouble, but not Conejo. We're better than that."
Yeah.
And you know why we're better than that? One of the reasons is because we have a support system in place to prepare those preschool children so when they come into our program, they hit the ground running. And now what's going to happen? You're talking about watching for healthcare costs. We listened to Mr. McLaughlin at the last meeting specifically answer a question saying that no, the ladies who are having their positions reduced will not be eligible for health care. We're seeing full-time positions being taken down to 3 3/4 hours. Why is it 3 3/4 hours? Because at 4 hours, those employees can buy into, at their cost, our health care program. That 15 minutes, that's what denies them any access to benefits through the district. We have seen in our Parapro program what's commonly referred to as a revolving door because of how many of those positions are 3 hour, 3.5 hour, 3 3/4 hour. They do not get benefits. They do not have buy-in to the program. They keep the job here until they can find a better one someplace else. What does that say to the people, the children, the families that they are representing and assisting? What will it say to the children and the families that are currently attending our NFL program? That it's really not worth what our previous superintendent repeatedly, during the last most heinous economic carnage that California education has ever suffered, and he repeatedly, as two of the board members on the budget committee heard him say repeatedly, was budget dust. So you are telling the families, you are telling the children, you are telling the employees that they're not worth budget dust. This is a program that makes CVUSD better. It makes CVUSD great.
Yes.
And what reward are we seeing those employees who give their hearts to the children? What reward are we giving them? Hey, you're not worth budget dust. We're taking your health care. We're taking your jobs. We're taking your hours. Like it or lump it. Now, what kind of loyalty do you expect from employees that are treated that way? What kind of loyalty do you expect from the families that see the teachers and the assistant teachers with whom they have developed a warm and trusting relationship, and when they see those people handled that way? Currently, the NFL program is viewed as a channel into the district. And we need it. We spent over $100,000 buying a management person, hiring a management person to try and support and prop up our ADA in the face of other districts, other schools that are putting ads out, trying to steal our children. We need those people more now, and we need to let them know how much we trust them and respect them and value them. Thank you.
Tanya Arholm Cressman.
I'm a little nervous. I'm not a public speaker, but I'm going to do my best to voice my opinion. My name is Tanya Cressman, and I am an ECE aide over at the Neighborhood for Learning Center preschool here in Thousand Oaks. I've been employed for the last 6 years. The pending budget cuts would directly affect us. We are 12-month employees. Some of us are part-time, some of us are full-time, who work year-round with the preschool age children under the age of 5. We are concerned with the continuity of care with the children we care for. Being laid off would bring in substitutes that may not know our children personally or be familiar with their schedule or routine. Children thrive on a caregiver who is present consistently. The quality of care with a close, trusting caregiver is crucial for children under the age of 5 years old, especially those from the low-income families in our state program. We service over 100 children at the city center alone. On a personal note, this would also impact us financially. Most of us depend on that 12-month paycheck as our main source of income. Please reconsider your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, board discussion. Mr. Dunn.
On behalf of 227 people who signed a petition, I make the motion that we amend this action item and strike from the resolution paragraph 1, beginning with supervisor, special education, paraprofessional. Do I have a second?
Motion dies for lack of a second. Okay, Mrs. Buckles?
Dr. Bonatannibus, I'm not sure if you can answer this, or maybe Mark. One of you. What is the #1 request from our principals and teachers on how the district could help with their schools? Do we know?
There are lots of answers to that. One of the things that rose to the top over and over again, and inclusive of parents, was addressing the social and emotional needs of students.
I know when John and I were at Los Colores, Anna's program, John asked the principal if there was one thing the district could do, what would it be? And she said, add more counselors. I know we have a lot of students who have social and emotional needs, and that we laid off elementary counselors. Having read over the information on hiring of full-time teacher, or the teachers on assignment, they would be, as I'm understanding it, they would be able to give direction to not only special ed teachers, but also regular ed teachers on how to deal with students with social and emotional needs who are placed into their classrooms. But if I understand this correctly, we can't afford to do that unless we restructure and eliminate the supervisor for special ed. Am I reading it correctly to see that the duties of hiring and training have either already been reassigned or will be reassigned?
Yes, that is correct. When that position was evaluated for its continuing efforts. One of the things that we looked at was its overall scope. That position was responsible for evaluating over 200 paraprofessionals, and that duty has since been reassigned out to the site level because the principals are on site and immediately supervise them. So the evaluation piece, the onboarding with hiring, the training, all of those pieces have been able to be reassigned or otherwise absorbed into other places within the district.
One of the things that the emails I received on this position, saving this position, were that they felt that they needed mentoring and that the supervisor gave them mentoring. Who would be doing that if we eliminate that position?
Mr. Buckles, that would be the principal. That would be in some ways the TOSA, the special education teacher, who's going to be working throughout the district, supporting the teachers and the parapros within there, and the lead behaviorist. So there'd be quite a bit of mentoring, but the first point of contact would be the school site administrator that's assigned to overseeing the special ed department.
I just have one other thing to say. As a former teacher, I know how difficult it can be to have someone with social and emotional problems in your class, and that it can disrupt the learning of all the students in your class. So I think I'm going to have to vote yes on this.
Any other comments?
I got some comments.
Mr. Dunn?
This action item was voted on 2 weeks ago, and it failed. Now, Sandy Everett made the point, there are times when trustees have to ignore the wishes of the superintendent and accommodate our employees. Now, every board member here received a petition. There were 227 signatures on that petition. These are people that work for the district. And they're telling us that the best thing that we can do is to keep this paraprofessional supervisor working. There's some other things you need to do. Imagine if you were treated this way. You're 61 years old. You've done a great job for the district for the last 17 years. And then what happens is they start taking work away from you. They can't fire you because you're doing such a great job to the district. So the only way they can justify your termination is declaring you having a lack of work. So they start shoveling off your responsibilities to other people. Now that's wrong. You know, you don't treat people that way. So I'm going to vote against this action item. And there's one other point I want to make too. We're not talking about some PowerPoint reorganization plan. We're talking about 15 people are going to suffer because they're going to lose their job at this district. That's not fair.
Mrs. Phelps,
Dr. Conley?
as much as I would like to move to the vote, I cannot let those comments pass without responding. We are in a situation where, after extensive review and study, issues related to the delivery of services for children have been raised. And our professional staff have spent weeks and weeks, months, crafting a reorganization that addresses the needs of children and teachers and families. And we have asked them to do that in a cost-neutral way because we don't have additional funds. And I think that to characterize this as a shift of work to make a person's job redundant is really an unfair characterization of what is happening here. This is about making what students need come first. And I do not deny that there are consequences for some of our employees when we have limited funds and our first and foremost objective is doing the right thing for students, but there's nothing underhanded or unfair about it, and I reject that.
Mrs. Buckles?
Yes. Dr. Bonatadibus, I know that Mr. Dunn left closed session, and we discussed whether these employees would be able to apply for other positions within the district. Could you speak to that? Or could Mark?
Sure. These specific employees in these resolutions, they're not even applying for positions. They have the right to go into open positions within our district. Positions they may have previously held and or similar type positions that they are currently in moving forward. Or there's obviously the opportunity to apply for positions that become available that they may be of interest to, but we do have places within the district for them to go.
No comment.
Mr. Dunn?
I'll give you an example of what's being offered. The 61-year-old woman that I mentioned who rents, she makes $62,000 a year right now. She's being offered a position which pays $17,300 a year.
Oh.
That's what she's being offered. And she got the best deal. Also, too, I want to ask Peggy and Betsy a question. What did you think of the petition signed by 227 paraprofessionals who are on the front lines dealing with the students, who have asked us not to lay off the paraprofessional supervisor? What did you think of that petition signed by the people?
Mrs. Buckles?
I understand that they have great admiration for the supervisor. I think that the needs of our students need to come first. We have students with social and emotional needs, and we cannot hire someone to deal with that, to help the teachers deal with that, if we keep the structure the way it is. And I think that I was elected to make sure that the students' needs are met. I appreciate the fact that they're loyal to this lady, and I appreciate the fact that we would like to, that she can apply for another supervisory position within the district. But I think that our first obligation has to be to the students.
Ditto.
Okay, Mark, did you want to say something? I saw your mic flash on and off.
One of the things I'd just like to point out is the position that our parapro supervisor would go into is a 6-hour position. It does carry full benefits package, and we have basically 138 parapros who do not qualify for benefits. So this is, a nice position to fall back to because it does come with the full benefits package. Her dollar salary increase is more than $17,000 a year next year. But it is a very coveted position because of the benefits package. We have nothing in between at this point in time, and the individual held this position as a parapro prior to moving into a management position. So through Ed Code, she has the right to bump back into that position, which we are exercising the right to do that.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, is that it? Please vote.
Motion carries 3 votes yes. Dr. Connolly, Mrs. Phelps, Mrs. Buckles. 2 votes no, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Dunn.
Motion carries 3 votes yes. Mrs. Phelps, Mrs. Buckles, Dr. Connolly, 2 votes no, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Anderson. Next item,